We deserve each other, me and Ba. Hello, lovely creatures. Today I'm channeling my inner Galinda because we're going to be talking about Wicked and the controversies surrounding Wicked, or, controversies. So the other day, I was scrolling my For You page on TikTok when I came across this video of Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo at an interview about Wicked, and they seem to have randomly started bursting into tears during the interview.
Well, got a little bit of her softness, and she's got
her strength.
a little bit of my strength.
Yeah. Truthfully.
And I thought it was pretty weird, and I kept scrolling, and then I happened to have seen it again.
I was othered at school my whole life. This film means so much to me, and there are so many millions of kids like me who find refuge in the witches. And I just want to let you know that
No, you both have to stop.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Oh my goodness! Stop now.
When I saw that, I was like, well, that's a little weird, but I didn't think much of it until I came across a different interview where they cry again.
I've seen this week people are taking the lyrics of Defying Gravity and really holding space with that and feeling power in that.
I didn't know that was happening.
I've seen it, yeah.
That's really powerful.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I wanted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I didn't know that was happening.
I've seen it on a couple posts. I don't know how widespread, but I am in queer media, so
Yeah.
that's my,
That's really cool.
And then I realized, this is a little weird. I couldn't help but to ask myself, what's wrong with them? And when I opened the comments, there was a lot of accusations, people accusing them of being on Ozempic, or having eating disorders. What could possibly be the reason for them to act this way? And this all happened before Wicked even came out. So I was like, wow, the movie must be pretty crazy, pretty good if this is the reaction that's happening out of people. So I went to go see Wicked, and I did not cry. And I do consider myself somewhat of a theater kid.
All you gotta do is say my name. I'm gone. What? Outnumbered, outpaced.
I'm definitely not as attached to Wicked as some other people like Ariana and Cynthia. So I guess I could understand where they're coming from. I actually did see people on TikTok sympathize with them about it.
And I'm sorry, but I saw Wicked a whole 24 hours ago, and I'm still gagged. I'm just like, it was a story about adversity. It was a story about unlikely friendships. And I've seen the musical years ago, but this movie flipped it on its head. And if you're wondering, why the fuck is everybody crying at the end of this movie? It's because that last scene, that last moment where all this shit is coming to a head. And you've been Elphaba. You've been Elphaba where the odds were against you, where people didn't think you would succeed, where nobody thought you could get it done, where people told you no, when you had to walk away from your path, when you had to choose a different path than what everybody was doing, and you had to go alone. And some people said, I can't go with you on this journey, babe, but I support you anyway. Wicked strikes a chord with people in more ways than one, especially after this election. I feel like the timing of that movie was now. I feel like they probably looked into the stars of when was the best time to release this movie, and it was now. And
And I realized, maybe they're not weird or crazy. I guess they're just very connected to the musical. I actually gained a bit of perspective when I was watching H3, and Olivia, my girl, she kind of was sympathizing with Ariana and Cynthia when she was showing the clip of them acting like very emotional.
But yeah,
very
they've
odd.
been very emotional this press tour. It's a big project.
Okay,
Dude,
let's see.
It's like a fucking sketch to me.
Yeah.
This can't be real people.
I understand
insane.
it. Really understand. Every time I see any media that has to do with Wicked, my breath is taken away, and I do cry. Like, I get it. I get it.
And I realized this isn't really a problem with them. It's a theater kid thing. Like, it's definitely a theater kid thing once you think about it. Then I saw more clips on TikTok of theater kids like getting emotional over Wicked and and so actually now Cynthia and Ariana have addressed the weird interviews in a new interview about the interview. And well, in the interview about holding space, which I found to be one of the weirdest ones and funniest, like most meme-worthy interview. Really, me and my best friend always quote that, like we're always saying we're holding space. But Ariana and Cynthia did address this in an interview.
So I didn't know what any part of it meant.
That's really powerful.
I didn't understand the first sentence.
I've seen this week people are taking the lyrics of Defying Gravity and really holding space with that and feeling power in that.
And then I definitely didn't understand what was happening, how you responded. I was like, oh, what did she say? What did you hear? And I just wanted to be there because I knew something big was happening. And I didn't know how to be there.
I didn't know that was happening. But then after a while, I didn't know how to be there. Yeah. That's what I wanted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She said something that meant something to her. It meant something totally different to you.
Yes.
And then she tried to kind of get somewhere else.
Yeah.
And the craziest thing was, I remember in the moment asking myself, am I okay? Did I not hear something? And I was like, because she looks like she's about to cry again, and I'm gonna grab this because I think you might need something. Yeah. And I don't know what the tapping was about, but that happened.
Tension.
That happened. Yeah, that happened. I was like, oh shit, something's happening.
They've also addressed like the crying somewhat in some short interviews.
Really sorry. It just happens.
It's really emotional.
We can't help it. We're trying our best. But there's a lot of emotional things that happen, and we're just going with it.
Yeah, you need to understand. It's been like 3 years, people.
Sopping hearts.
There's a lot
We've had
going
to keep
on.
this in for such a long time.
I think we can say that it's not really an Ozempic or a eating disorder problem that they both have, which, you know, is a different problem that can be addressed maybe a different time. But it definitely, I think, is just a weird theater kid thing that's going on. Like, the general public doesn't understand because they're not really theater kids, and they're like, why are these people acting so weird and emotional? But it's definitely a big thing for theater kids that this movie is coming out. So I understand why people are getting emotional over this, including, I mean, Ariana Grande herself has, like, this is her dream role.
Wicked, is that different though?
That's very different. Oh, that's very different. Yeah, that's very different. I'd do anything.
Elphaba.
I don't want to talk about it because I'm gonna cry, and like I would do anything. I would do anything to play Elfie. I don't really have like many dream roles. I already got to play Penny, not cross that one off the list. Elphaba and Audrey in Little Shop. Those are my 2 dream roles. So yeah, I would do anything. I would stand outside the producer's studio with coffees every morning like this, waiting for them to acknowledge me.
No, but for real, you would.
Begging them to sing Defying Gravity for them.
Where do you want to play it? Where would you want to be here? On stage or in a movie?
Any. I love that musical so much. Like, whenever I'm nervous about anything, I listen front to back to Wicked.
What is it? What does it remind you of, or what is it?
Childhood, growing up, being like 10 years old and like driving in the car with my mom, listening to it front to back, like screaming in the passenger seat, belting. Like,
she's wanted her whole life. I've seen clips of her like singing like almost every Wicked song since she was younger, like years and years. So yeah, when you really think about it, this really does make sense for them to be acting this way. I mean, I know if I was cast as like in the Wicked musical, I would be ecstatic and I would probably go a little crazy myself. So in conclusion, we have learned that the reason that people are crying about Wicked is because it's really just a good movie and something people have been anticipating for years and years. So thank you for watching, my lovely creatures, and I hope I can, you know, gain your subscription, your attention, and you can stay tuned for future videos. Thank you so much for listening to me.